My manager pinned my anonymous HR complaint to the breakroom wall like a trophy. He stood there smiling while everyone read it. He thought humiliation would break me. He didn't realize he'd just handed me Exhibit A. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you're listening from in the comments. My name is Marin. I'm 28 years old, and this is what really happened. The vending machine made its usual hollow thump, like it was coughing up regret. A microwave beeped in stubborn little bursts. Somebody laughed too loud near the sink, like she needed everyone to know she was fine. Then I saw it. A single sheet of paper pinned at eye level on the breakroom bulletin board, a bright red pushpin, dead center at the top. The printer ink looked fresh, dark, and clean, like it hadn't even dried. My anonymous HR complaint. No name at the bottom, no signature. But the details were mine in a way my skin recognized. The dates, the incidents, the quote I wrote down word for word. Even the way I used M dashes when I got nervous. I read it once. Then again, slower, like reading it twice could make it belong to someone else. The room stayed loud. The soda cooler hummed. The ice maker rattled. But the sound seemed to slide around me, leaving me outside my own body. Behind me, someone cleared their throat. A chair leg squealed on the tile. A fork clinked against a plastic bowl. "Wow," a voice said, soft enough to pretend it wasn't aimed. Another voice answered, "Somebody's brave." I turned, and there he was in the doorway. Derek Lowe, store operations manager, 42. And always in pressed button-downs that smelled like dryer sheets. His smile wasn't big, it was precise. He nodded at the bulletin board, slow and satisfied. "Derek, hope everyone takes professionalism seriously after reading that." He looked straight at me on the word "that." Not long enough to be obvious, just long enough to brand me. My face didn't change, my hands didn't shake. What happened instead was worse. Something inside me went flat, like a switch that clicked off, like my nervous system decided this wasn't worth electricity anymore. I lifted my phone. I framed the red pushpin, the HR logo, the date stamp. I took a photo, then another, closer, catching the tiny routing code in the corner. Derek's eyes narrowed. He didn't stop me, because stopping me would admit guilt. I slid my phone into my pocket and walked out. My shoes squeaked on the hallway linoleum. That sound followed me, steady and normal, like nothing had changed. But everything had. I worked at Everdale Retail Headquarters, not the store, the corporate building behind it, where decisions got made for 65 locations. A mid-sized city in Ohio with a courthouse square and a Target Starbucks. People here loved routines, like routines could keep life from breaking. I'd been there 2 years, living inside inventory spreadsheets. Numbers didn't wink at you in meetings. Numbers didn't brush your arm when they walked past. Numbers didn't call you sweetheart in front of senior staff. Derek did. At first he was charming in a corporate way. Donuts on Mondays, little jokes like showing me a crumpled Walmart receipt and saying he accidentally bought too much. And he talked like we were teammates. Then he started testing boundaries like they were loose threads, standing too close in the elevator, repeating my ideas like they were his. Teams messages late at night, not work questions, just hooks. Derek, "Still awake?" Derek, "You're the only one I trust with this stuff." If I didn't respond, he acted wounded the next day. If I did, he pushed further. The first time he touched me, he called it accidental. His hand on my lower back as we passed the copy room. Quick pressure, quiet claim. I froze. He smiled like I'd agreed. After that, I started keeping notes. Date, time, location, what he said, what he did. Who else was there? I hid them in a folder called Q1 Metrics because nobody ever clicked on Q1 Metrics. Hide your valuables inside the boring. By November, my stomach hurt every Sunday night. The fluorescent lights buzzed all day, faint and constant, like they were tired of pretending. So I went to HR. Her name was Candace. Pearl necklace, smartwatch, stainless Starbucks cup. Her office smelled like sanitizer and lavender spray. Candace. "We take concerns seriously, Marin." Me. "I want this documented." Candace. "This will be confidential." Confidential. That word felt like a blanket at the time. I handed over dates, quotes, screenshots. I asked about retaliation. Candace smiled like customer service. Candace, retaliation is against company policy. 2 days later, Derek turned sharper. He'd stop talking when I walked into a room. He'd send calendar invites titled Quick Sync, then keep me waiting outside his glass office. He started using the word loyalty like it was a KPI. And then this morning, the bulletin board. Back at my desk, my inbox tried to act normal. Sales reports, vendor updates, a reminder about the holiday toy drive. Jess leaned over my partition. She was 26, always chewing spearmint gum like she was sanding down stress. Jess, are you okay? Me, I'm working. Jess, everyone saw it. I kept my eyes on my screen. Me, did you see who put it up? Jess swallowed. Jess, I saw Derek walking out of the break room with the push pins. I nodded once. That was all. At 11:03 a.m., a meeting invite hit my calendar. Subject, performance discussion organizer, Derek Lowe. Location, Derek's office, Glass 3B. I clicked accept. Not because I was brave, because refusing would give him a different weapon. I opened my Q1 metrics folder and added today's entry. February 16th, 2026, 9:12 a.m. A break room bulletin board. HR complaint posted publicly with red pushpin. Manager present. Comment to staff. Photo evidence captured. Witness Jess P. Then I emailed the photos to my personal Gmail, labeled break room bulletin. I used my phone hotspot, not office Wi-Fi. I wasn't guessing anymore. I was building a file. On my lunch break, I drove past the courthouse and parked for a minute, just staring at the stone steps and the flag out front. I wanted my brain to understand there were places bigger than Derek's ego. My phone buzzed with a county clerk's office webpage I'd pulled up earlier. A sample civil docket line sat on the screen in bold. County clerk, case number 2-024-17823. A fake number. But it made my chest feel steadier, like a map had edges. At 3 p.m., I walked toward Glass 3B. My badge tapped my sweater in a steady rhythm. Tap, tap, tap. Derek opened the door before I knocked. That precise smile was back. Derek. Come on in, Marin. Mia. Sure. He slid a paper across his desk. A printed performance rubric. Like a school report card. Derek. I'm concerned about your attitude lately. Me. My attitude. Derek. You seem not aligned with team culture. He said culture like he owned it, like I was a stain on his brand. Me. Is this connected to my HR report? Derek leaned back, slow. He tapped his pen against the desk. Click, click, click. Derek. I don't know what you're talking about. Then his voice dropped, like he was offering advice. Derek. You know how rumors spread here? Maybe be more careful what you put in writing. That was the humiliation. Not the board, not the whispers. The threat dressed up as concern. I stood up. Saz collected the rubric and nodded. Me. Thanks for your time. I walked out without looking at the glass walls, without giving anyone a face they could gossip about. At my desk, I opened a browser tab. I typed 6 words, one after another, like a spell I needed to learn. Retaliation for HR complaint illegal? When the search results loaded, I didn't feel relief. I felt focus. Focus is a strange kind of calm. It doesn't warm you up. It just keeps you from falling apart in public. I copied the first 3 links into a notes app, federal, state, plain language. I didn't need a pep talk. I needed a path. A Teams notification popped up. Sender, Candace, HR. Message, can you come by my office before end of day? I stared at the screen until the letters stopped feeling like decoration, because if Candace knew, Derek knew. And if Derek knew, he'd already decided what he wanted next. And if Derek knew, he'd already decided what he wanted next. Candace's message sat there like a scent you couldn't scrub off. Not sharp, just persistent, like stale perfume trapped in fabric. I replied with one word, okay. On the walk to HR, The hallway smelled like burnt coffee and citrus disinfectant. Somebody had sprayed too much. It clung to my throat. It made my eyes water, but I didn't let my face show it. Candace's office door was cracked open. Lavender plug-in, hand sanitizer. That lemon cleaner again. Smells designed to say safe. Smells that always made me think of hospitals and apologies. Candace smiled when I stepped inside. Same pearl necklace. Same Starbucks cup. The lid chewed at the edge like she'd been anxious. Candace. Have a seat. Marin. Me. Sure. She gestured at a chair across from her desk. The faux leather smelled warm and plasticky, like sun-baked car seats. I sat anyway. Candace folded her hands. Her nails were perfectly manicured. That detail used to make me feel small. Today, it just made me notice she had time for polish. Candace. So, there's been some chatter. Me. You mean the complaint on the bulletin board? Her smile flickered. It wasn't shock. It was calculation. Candace. We're looking into how that happened. Me. Candace, it happened because someone printed it and pinned it up. She cleared her throat and reached for a folder. The folder had my name typed on a label. My full name. Not anonymous. Not protected. Candace slid it halfway across the desk like it was a gift. Then she stopped, pulling it back toward herself again. A small power move. A habit. Candace. We need to talk about your expectations. Me. My expectation is confidentiality. Candace. Confidentiality is complicated. The lavender plug-in puffed again. Sweet, fake, steady. I watched the little plastic device like it was breathing. Me. Did you give it to Derek? Candace. No. Me. Did you show it to anyone? Candace hesitated. A half second. Long enough. Candace. We follow process. Me. That's not an answer. Her cheeks flushed. She reached for her cup, took a sip, then set it down too hard. Coffee and vanilla syrup drifted up. For a second, it made me nauseous. Candace. Marin, I'm trying to help you. Me. By letting him humiliate me in the break room? She leaned forward, lowering her voice as if the walls had ears. They did. Corporate buildings always do. And Candace. You need to understand the environment you're in. Me. I understand it. That's why I reported him. Candace's eyes slid to the window, then back to me. Candace. Derek is a key leader here. Me. So, I'm... what? A risk? Candace didn't deny it. She adjusted the folder again. My folder. Candace. We can resolve this internally. Me. It's already public. Candace. Let's not escalate. There it was, the real request. Not, are you okay? Not, we're sorry. Don't escalate. Stay quiet. Let the smell of lavender cover the rot. Me. Who posted it? Candace. We don't know. Me. Jess saw him with the push pins. That name shifted her posture. Candace blinked, quick and tight. Candace. Jess P. Me. Yes. Candace. I'll note that. She typed something fast. Yet her fingers smelled faintly like lotion when she brushed the keyboard. That was my brain, grabbing sensory details to stay present. Name the smells. Don't float away. Candace. I'm going to advise you to focus on your performance. Me. I'm going to advise myself to protect my job. Candace. Marin. Me. I took photos. I emailed them to myself. Her face stiffened. The lavender suddenly felt too sweet. Candace. You shouldn't be using your phone for... Me. For evidence? The air between us turned heavy and chemical. Her office smelled suddenly sour, like the disinfectant couldn't keep up. Candace. What do you want? Me. I want the posting removed. Candace. We already took it down. My stomach turned. Not from fear, from anger, finally arriving, because taking it down meant she'd seen it. She'd known. Miss Me. When? Candace. An hour ago. Me. So you let the whole building read it first. Candace's voice went softer. Candace. It's a stressful time, Marin. People are reactive. Me. People were reactive because someone made me a target. She pressed her lips together. Her perfume shifted as she moved, powdery, floral, expensive. It clashed with the lemon cleaner. Candace. I'm going to be honest. Your complaint created disruption. Me. His behavior created disruption. I stood. The chair released a warm plastic smell as I rose. My palms were dry. My voice stayed level. Me. I'm leaving now. Candace. Marin, don't do anything you'll regret. Me. I regret trusting HR. I walked out. The hallway smelled like someone reheated fish in the microwave, that sharp, oily stink that clings to your hair. It made me think of offices that punish you for existing. Back at my desk, Jess was waiting. She didn't ask permission. She just sat on the corner of my chair like she was guarding me. Jess. Did she try to gaslight you? Me. She tried to manage me. Jess's gum snapped. She leaned in. Jess. I have something. Me. What? She pulled a folded paper from her tote bag. It smelled like lotion and the inside of her car. She slid it to me fast, like contraband. Jess. Derek emailed me last month, after you went to HR. Me. Why would he email you? Jess. Because I was his last assistant before you. Me. Jess, he does this. He cycles. My throat tightened, but I kept my voice even. Me. Let me see. She opened her phone and showed me the email. Subject line, team alignment. His tone was syrupy. And the kind that sticks and then burns. Derek. Email. We need employees who understand loyalty. Complaints hurt careers. My hands didn't shake, but my skin felt too tight. Jess. I forwarded it to my personal. I saved screenshots. Me. Why didn't you report it? Jess looked past me toward the open office. People typing, printers running, the smell of toner. A normal day pretending. Jess. Because I have student loans and an apartment lease. Me too. We both let out a short laugh. Not funny, just pressure escaping. Jess. When I saw that complaint on the board, I knew it was you. Me. Everyone did. Jess. Then I knew you needed proof. She was my ally in the only way that mattered. Quiet, specific, useful. I opened my notes app. I typed, Jess email evidence. Then I asked her to forward it to my Gmail. Right there. No waiting. A calendar reminder popped up. DMV appointment, license renewal. I almost deleted it. Then I didn't. Because that was my life. Still. Bills, lines, receipts. Even while Derek tried to erase me. At 4:47 p.m., Derek walked past my desk. He smelled like aftershave and mint gum. Clean, confident, like he'd never pinned anything to any board. He leaned on my partition. His cologne curled into my space without asking. Derek. Hey, you good? Me. I'm working. Derek. You seemed upset earlier. He said it like he was a caring boss, a concerned mentor, a man saving a fragile girl from her own emotions. Me. I'm fine. Derek. Great, because we're all about moving forward. His eyes dropped to my keyboard, then to my screen. Derek. Don't make this bigger than it needs to be. Me. I'm not. He smiled, satisfied. He walked away. His scent lingered like a fingerprint. That night at home, my apartment smelled like laundry detergent and my neighbor's weed. The walls were thin. The heating system was loud. My lease was taped to the fridge with a magnet shaped like Ohio. I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open. A crumpled Walmart receipt was next to my elbow. Cat litter, ramen, ibuprofen, real-life math. I searched for Employment Attorney Retaliation Ohio Free Consult. 3 tabs, 5 firms. I picked one with a plain website and a downtown address. Then I opened a new email draft. To myself, subject timeline. I wrote everything, every smell, every line, every look. Before I hit send, I checked my bank app. My balance was low, but not zero, enough for a consultation fee if I had to. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. And I let it ring twice. Then I answered. Me. Hello? Voice. Hi. Is this Marin Calder? This is Aaron Kim's office. You requested a consultation. I inhaled the detergent smell and said the next line like a decision. Me. Yes, I did. He scheduled me for the next morning, 9:30 a.m. downtown, 2 blocks from the courthouse. When I hung up, I stared at my reflection in the dark window. The city lights outside looked distant and cold, but inside, in my tiny kitchen, the air finally felt mine. I opened my notes app again. I typed one more thing, slow. Bring photos. Bring Jess email. Bring everything. Then I searched one more time. Quiet. Methodical. What to say in retaliation lawyer consult. And I saved the page. The next morning, I woke up before my alarm. And the air in my apartment smelled like radiator heat and old carpet, the kind of smell that sticks to your clothes when you don't own a house. I showered fast. I put on my most neutral outfit, black slacks, gray sweater, simple stud earrings. Not cute, not cold, just competent. I packed my evidence like I was packing for war. Phone charger, notebook, printed screenshots, a folder from the office supply store that still smelled like fresh plastic. Outside, the February wind slapped my cheeks. My car windows were filmed with frost. I scraped them with an old credit card I didn't use anymore. The drive downtown took 12 minutes. I passed a Starbucks with a line wrapped around the building. A guy in a pickup truck honked like he owned the road. Normal American impatience. I parked near the courthouse. Stone building, wide steps. Heavy doors. The flag above it looked stiff in the wind. Aaron Kim's office was in a narrow brick building across the street, the kind with a buzzer system and a tiny lobby that smelled like paper and old coffee. A receptionist handed me a clipboard. Her nails were bright pink, glossy, perfect. Receptionist. Fill these out, hun. Me. Thanks. The word hon hit wrong, but I didn't correct her. I had bigger fights today. The forms asked questions that felt too blunt for my life. Have you experienced harassment? Have you experienced retaliation? Do you have documentation? Yes. When I finished, I looked around the waiting room, a framed photo of downtown in winter, a water cooler with a paper cup dispenser, a row of pamphlets about discrimination law. Everything was quiet. Not fake quiet like HR, real quiet, like a place that didn't need to perform. Aaron Kim came out exactly on time. Late 30s, clean haircut, dark suit, not flashy. His calm felt practiced, but not cold. Aaron. Marin Calder? Me. Yes. Aaron. Come on back. His office smelled like wood polish and printer toner. There were diplomas on the wall, Ohio State, a law school I recognized, a framed newspaper clipping about a settlement. He gestured toward a chair. This one was real leather. It smelled expensive and worn in. Aaron. Tell me what happened. Start wherever you want. I opened my folder. The plastic sleeves squeaked as I pulled out the photos. Me. My manager posted my anonymous HR complaint in the break room. Aaron's eyes sharpened. Not surprised. Interested. Me. It had a red push pin. Like a joke. Aaron. Do you have a photo of it posted? Me. Yes. I slid my phone across his desk. He didn't touch it right away. He looked at me first, like he wanted to see if I was stable. Aaron. How long was it up? Me. At least 3 hours. Aaron. Who saw it? Me. Everyone. And he stood in the doorway watching. Aaron finally picked up my phone and zoomed in. His finger moved slow, precise. He read the complaint the way you read a contract. Aaron. This is very specific. Me. That's why it's obvious it's me. He nodded once. Aaron. And you reported him for harassment? Me. Yes. Aaron. When? Me. Last week. I handed him my printed timeline. He scanned it, then looked up again. At Aaron, did HR promise confidentiality? Me. They said it would be confidential. Aaron. Did they put that in writing? Me. No. He didn't judge me for that. He just wrote something down. Aaron. Marin, what he did is retaliation. Me. Even if my name wasn't on it? Aaron. Yes, especially because your name wasn't on it. That sentence landed in my chest like a weight shifting. Me. How? Aaron leaned back slightly. His chair creaked, soft. Aaron. Because he weaponized the process. He used your protected activity, your complaint, To punish you. Me. Protected activity. Aaron. Exactly. He pointed at the photo. Aaron. This is Exhibit A. Me. So he basically handed me proof. Aaron. He did. He thought humiliation would silence you. I stared at the diplomas behind him. The paper looked thick, like it had authority. As me. HR is acting like I'm the problem. Aaron. Of course they are. Me. Why? Aaron. Because HR's job is to protect the company, not you. The way he said it wasn't bitter. It was factual. Like gravity. I swallowed. Me. So what happens now? Aaron folded his hands. His wedding band caught the light. Aaron. We document everything. We stop you from being isolated. We send a preservation letter. Me. What's that? Aaron. A legal notice. It tells them they must preserve all relevant evidence. Emails, messages, security footage. Me. Security footage like the breakroom camera? Aaron. Exactly. My mouth went dry. Me. There's a camera in the breakroom? Aaron. Most corporate facilities have them. For theft. For liability. For control. Control. That word again. Aaron slid a paper toward me. A simple fee agreement. In plain language. No gimmicks. Aaron. If you want me to represent you, we start today. Me. How much? He named a number. It made my stomach drop. Not impossible, but it would hurt. I thought of my Walmart receipt. Cat litter. Ramen. Ibuprofen. I thought of my DMV appointment and my lease and my student loan autopay. Then I thought of Derek's smirk. The red pushpin. The breakroom laughter. I signed. The pen felt heavy in my hand. The ink looked too dark, too permanent. Aaron. Good. Now listen carefully. Me. Okay. He leaned forward, voice calm and direct. Aaron. Do not confront Derek again. Do not argue with HR. Do not post about this online. Me. I won't. Aaron. You keep doing what you're doing. Work. Document. Stay steady. Me. What about Jess? Aaron. Jess is a witness. Protect her too. I nodded. And Aaron, you said you have an email where he threatened careers? Me. Yes. Aaron. Forward it to me today. Me. Okay. He opened his laptop. The keyboard clicks were sharp and clean, a different kind of office sound. Aaron. I'm drafting the preservation letter now. Me. They have to listen? Aaron. They don't have to like it, but if they destroy evidence after this, it becomes a bigger problem. Bigger problem. That phrase made something in me loosen. Aaron printed the letter. The printer whirred, then spat out crisp pages that smelled like hot paper. He signed with a firm stroke. Aaron, I'm sending this by certified mail and email. Me. Certified mail? Aaron, yes. So they can't claim they didn't receive it. He handed me a copy. The letter had my name at the top. My address. The company's address. Derek's full name. It looked official. It looked like a door closing behind me. Aaron, this is the moment the game changes. Me. Because they'll panic? Aaron. Because they'll realize you're not alone. Not alone. I didn't cry. I didn't smile. But I felt something like heat return to my hands. Before I left, Aaron gave me one more instruction. Aaron, when you go back, assume every conversation is evidence. Me. Even casual? Aaron, especially casual. They'll try to bait you. I stood. The leather chair sighed behind me. Me. What if they fire me? Aaron's eyes stayed steady. Aaron, if they fire you now, it strengthens your case. Me. So, either way, they lose. Aaron, if we do this right, yes. I walked out of his office with the letter in my folder. The paper felt like armor. Outside, the courthouse steps were still there. Yeah, the flag still stiff, the wind still cold. But I wasn't numb anymore. On the drive back to Everdale, I passed a line of cars wrapped around a Chick-fil-A, a billboard about personal injury lawyers, a gas station sign flashing $3.19 a gallon. America doing what America does, selling comfort and lawsuits in the same breath. When I pulled into the corporate parking lot, my hands stayed steady on the wheel. The building looked the same, glass and beige brick, a place designed to feel harmless. I walked inside. The air hit me with that familiar blend. Toner, disinfectant, burnt coffee, and forced cheer. At my desk, I opened my inbox. There was a new email from Candace. Subject, follow-up, workplace concerns. My stomach tightened, but I didn't open it yet. I forwarded Jess's email to Aaron first. Then I forwarded my break room photos. And then I opened Candace's message. Candace wrote like she was writing a bedtime story. Candace, me. Hi, Marin. We want to ensure you feel supported. Please refrain from sharing internal documents. I stared at the screen. Then I laughed once, quietly. Supported. She meant controlled. A new Teams notification popped up. Sender, Derek Lowe. Message, can you step into my office for a quick chat? Quick chat. The words looked harmless, but now I could smell the trap in them. I picked up my phone. I texted Aaron one line. Derek wants a quick chat right now. Aaron responded within 30 seconds. Do not go alone. If you must, keep it brief, then write everything down. I stood up anyway, not because I wanted to, because I wanted Derek to see my face. I walked toward glass 3B. The hallway lights buzzed overhead. The smell of lemon cleaner was stronger today, like someone had tried to scrub the building. Derek opened the door with that same precise smile. But this time, I noticed something else. His hands were shaking. Just a little. His hands were shaking. Just a little. He tried to hide it by gripping the door frame, knuckles whitening against the glass. The metal handle was cold, and when I touched it, the chill climbed into my fingertips. Derek, Marin, come in. Me. Okay. His office was always staged, a lined stapler, framed, quote, bowl of mints nobody ate. I sat. The chair fabric scratched my legs through my slacks. I pressed my thumbs together under the desk, giving my body a job. Derek paced behind his desk, fingertips dragging along the wood edge. Derek, I heard you've been making copies. Me. I photographed what you posted. Derek, we don't need drama. He sat back too far, like distance could protect him. Derek, HR says you're escalating. Me. You escalated in the break room. Derek, that's not what happened. His jaw jumped. Derek, you don't have proof it was me. Me. Jess saw you with the push pins. His eyes flicked to the hallway through the glass wall. Derek, Jess is confused. Me. She isn't. He lowered his voice, sweet and warning. Derek, this place rewards loyalty. Me. I tried keeping it in-house. Derek, you tried embarrassing leadership. My nails bit my palm. Me. I reported harassment. Derek, you reported feelings. He said it like a joke he'd repeat later. Derek, you're young, yet you don't understand reputations. Me. I understand you tried to wreck mine. His phone buzzed. He flipped it face down too fast. Me. Are you being investigated? Derek. They're handling it. Me. So am I. His smile cracked. Derek. Are you threatening me? Me. I'm protecting myself. He wiped his palms on his pant legs. Derek. People who create problems don't last here. Me. Then you should have been careful with the bulletin board. I stood. Me. If that's all, I'm going back to work. Derek. Marin. I walked out before he finished. Back at my desk, the air felt tight. Not quieter. Tighter. Like the whole floor was holding its breath. An IT guy rolled a cart past my aisle. Cables slapped metal. Monitors stacked like shields. He stopped by the printer station and plugged in a little black device. His fingers moved fast. Confident. The plastic badge clipped to his belt, slapped against his hip each time he turned. Jess messaged me. Jess, Teams, IT is locking stuff down. Outlook is glitchy. I opened my inbox. A banner flashed. Security notice, account access changes. My mouse felt slick under my palm. Then another email arrived. From IT, security, subject, litigation hold/data preservation. My pulse steadied. The message was short. Preserve all documents, messages, and files related to the matter. Deletion may result in discipline. Discipline. Corporate language for panic. Shared drive folders started asking for new permissions. Teams chats lagged. People complained like it was the end of civilization. Kara from merchandising waved her phone. Kara. Why can't I delete anything? Voice. They're doing an audit. Again. That word scraped at my skin. Like this building had a history of burying things. Like I just touched a live wire that existed long before me. A new calendar invite popped up for Q2 planning, then vanished, then reappeared. The system was stuttering, and everyone could feel it. I texted Aaron a quick update. Me, text. Litigation hold email hit the whole building, IT locking accounts. He responded with one line. Aaron, text. Good. That means they received the letter and activated legal hold. See, legal hold. 2 words, and suddenly the air felt different against my face. Less like I was drowning, more like I was watching a storm roll in from a safe porch. At 10:12 a.m., Candace appeared at my desk. No email, no calendar, just heels and perfume. Her hand touched my shoulder, light, brief, performative. Her nails were smooth. A cold tips against my sweater. Candace. Marin. Conference room B. Inside, the vinyl chair edges were cracked from years of nervous shifting. I sat anyway, feeling the hard seat press into my tailbone. Candace shut the door. The latch clicked, and my shoulders tightened on reflex. Candace. We're taking this seriously. Me. It was on the bulletin board. Candace. We did not post it. She opened a thick notebook like it could rewrite reality. Candace. We received a letter from your attorney. Me. Yes. Candace. In the future, route communications through HR. Me. My attorney routed it where it needed to go. Her eyes sharpened. Candace. This is disruptive. Me. Retaliation is disruptive. She pressed her pen too hard, leaving a dent. Candace. We want to resolve this quickly. Me. I want it resolved correctly. I leaned in, voice quiet. Me. Is the breakroom camera footage preserved? Candace froze for a beat. Candace. That's part of the review. Me. Good. It'll show who pinned it up. Her smile returned, thin and stretched. Candace. Are you planning to file externally? Me. I'm following my attorney's advice. She nodded, but her eyes begged me not to. Candace slid a form across the table. Confidentiality reminder. The paper felt rough under my fingertips, a rushed print job, a thin attempt at a muzzle. Me. This is to silence me. Candace. It's to protect company information. Me. My complaint isn't your information, it's my experience. She pulled the form back, lips tight. Candace. Fine, we'll revisit. When we stepped into the hallway, whispers followed us like static. People stared at their screens and pretended they weren't staring at me. At my desk, a FedEx envelope sat on my keyboard tray. No logo, just a label and tracking sticker. Jess hovered nearby, jaw clenched. Jess. Mail guy asked for your signature. Derek was watching from his office. I touched the envelope. The cardboard was stiff and cool. The edge nicked my thumb. Return address, Everdale. Retail headquarters, legal department. I opened it. The paper inside smelled like hot toner. Notice of administrative leave pending investigation. My name typed neatly at the top, not fired, but removed, isolated. A second page was clipped behind it. Receipt of notice, signature required. My fingers hovered over the signature line. The pen on my desk felt heavy, like a trap disguised as ink. I texted Aaron a photo of the signature page. Me, text. They want me to sign receipt, do I? He replied fast. Aaron, text. You can acknowledge receipt by email. Do not sign anything in person. Ask for a copy. Photograph everything. So I did. I emailed legal from my phone, short and plain. Me, email. I acknowledge receipt of the administrative leave notice delivered today at approximately 10:27 a.m. Then I photographed the pages again, close enough to capture the date code in the footer. I sent copies to my personal Gmail, labeled admin leave. Candace appeared again, this time with a security guard. Not a big dramatic entrance. Just a quiet show of force. The guard didn't touch me, but he stood close enough that I could feel the heat off his jacket, a pressure in the air, like a hand without fingers. Hey, Candace, we'll need your badge and keys. Me. I don't have keys. Candace. Your badge then. I unclipped my badge from my waistband. The plastic edge bit into my finger as I pulled it free. It was warmer than it should have been, warmed by my body like it belonged to me. But it didn't. I placed it in her palm. Her hand closed around it quickly, like she was afraid I'd take it back. Candace. We'll arrange for you to retrieve personal items. Me. My personal items are in my bag. I lifted the strap and felt the weight settle on my shoulder. Wallet, makeup bag, the cheap folder from Office Depot, my life in manageable objects. Candace. We'll escort you out. Me. I can walk. The guard walked anyway. Every step we took, his boots made a soft, rubbery squeak, a sound that said, liability, liability, liability. As we passed the break room, I glanced at the bulletin board. The spot where my complaint had been was empty now. Only a faded flyer about a July 4th barbecue committee and an old sign-up sheet for Thanksgiving donations. They'd scrubbed the evidence from the wall, but they couldn't scrub my photos. In the lobby, the security guard held the door open. Cold air hit my face and my hands at the same time. Jess stood near the windows, pretending to read a poster about workplace respect. Her eyes met mine for half a second. Jess didn't wave. She just nodded once. That was enough. Outside, my car door handle was frozen. I yanked it twice before it gave. The metal burned my fingers with cold. I sat in the driver's seat and stared at the building. Glass, beige brick, corporate calm. My phone buzzed again. Another IT security email. The subject, reminder, litigation hold compliance. They were repeating it now, broadcasting it. Corporate panic in a subject line. I drove away, not fast, not slow, just steady. Halfway home, my phone rang. Unknown number. Me. Hello? Voice. Marin, this is Phil from Facilities. Derek just got called into a closed-door meeting with legal and HR. I stared at the gray road. Me. Right now? Phil. Yeah. He didn't bring his laptop. He didn't bring his coffee. He just went. My fingers loosened on the wheel. Me. What does that mean? Phil. It means somebody finally told him no behind a locked door. I didn't smile. I just felt my grip soften, like my body had been bracing for months and was finally allowed to breathe. Because the building had stopped smelling like control. It smelled like fear. It was rearranging itself. And somewhere in that rearranging, I could feel the first real consequence taking shape. By the time I got home, my phone was hot in my hand. Not from the battery, from the way I wouldn't stop gripping it. Administrative leave meant I didn't have to show up. It didn't mean I could relax. It meant they could work on a story without me in the room. I dropped my bag on the kitchen chair. The apartment was too quiet. I could hear my neighbor's TV through the wall, a game show audience clapping on command. I opened my laptop and pulled up my email thread with Aaron. My fingers were stiff from the cold. The keys clicked like little teeth. Me, email. They put me on administrative leave. Escort out, no signature, photos attached. Aaron. Email. Good work. Do not speak to anyone from the company by phone. At email only. I stared at that last line until it sank in. Email only. A paper trail, even for emotions. An hour later, Aaron called anyway. His voice was calm, like he'd already measured the room. Aaron. Marin, listen, they're going to launch an internal investigation. Me. To protect Derek? Aaron. To protect themselves. Sometimes that means they cut him loose. I sank into my couch. The fabric was rough and pilled, catching on my sweater sleeve. It felt real, not staged. Me. Candace acted like I was the disruption. Aaron. That's because you disrupted their control. Now they have to perform compliance. Aaron. You may be contacted by an outside investigator. Me. Outside? Aaron. Third party. They'll claim independence. Still paid by the company. Be honest, concise, don't speculate. I swallowed. And me. Jess is scared. Aaron. Tell her not to destroy anything. If she talks, she tells the truth and keeps copies. After we hung up, I made ramen and ate it, standing at the counter. The salty steam fogged my glasses. It didn't comfort me. It just kept my hands busy. At 9:14 a.m. the next day, an email arrived from a name I didn't know. From Monica Reyes, Workplace Integrity Services. Subject, interview request. Everdale Retail Headquarters, inquiry. A soft word for a sharp thing. Her message was polite and clean. Monica, email. We are conducting an independent review regarding workplace concerns. Are you available for a confidential interview? Confidential. Again. I forwarded it to Aaron before I replied. Then I typed back 3 sentences, no warmth. Me, email. Yes, I am available. Please provide date/time options and whether counsel may attend. Her response came 10 minutes later. Monica, email. Counsel may attend. Interview will be conducted via secure video. Secure video. Like an apology wrapped in technology. I spent the rest of the morning building my table. Not a metaphor, a literal table. Date, location, incident, witness, evidence. I pulled my old notes out of Q1 metrics. I added the breakroom posting. I added Derek's loyalty speech. I added Candace's disruption comment. Every line made the story less emotional and more structural. That was the point. At noon, Jess texted me from a number I didn't recognize. Jess, they're interviewing people, like all day. Me, who? Jess, some woman. Monica, conference room A. Hey, people keep coming out looking pale. Space and crowd are funny things in corporate buildings. There are always bodies, but nobody is ever together. Cubicles, glass boxes, meeting rooms with doors that shut softly. You can feel fear move through those spaces anyway, like a draft you can't see. Jess, Derek's not on the floor. Me, is Candace? Jess, yes, she's smiling too hard. At 2 p.m., my secure video link arrived. A waiting room screen with a spinning circle. It reminded me of the DMV line. You sit, you wait, you get called like you're a number. Monica joined with her camera on. Mid-40s, navy blazer, hair pulled back tight. Her background was a plain wall and a framed certificate. Monica. Hi, Marin. Thank you for meeting with me. Me. Hi. Aaron's small video box appeared beside mine. He nodded once. And that grounded me more than any lavender plug-in. Monica. This interview is part of an independent review commissioned by Everdale. Me. Okay. Monica. I want to understand your experience in your own words. I didn't give her poetry. I gave her facts. Me. Derek Lowe repeatedly made comments about my appearance. He touched my lower back. He sent late-night messages unrelated to work. Monica. Do you recall dates? Me. Yes, I have a timeline. I shared my screen and scrolled. The rows looked cold. Good. Monica. When did you report to HR? Me. February 9th. Monica. And when did the break room posting occur? Me. February 16th. Monica. How did you identify the posting as your complaint? Me. It contained verbatim details. The formatting matches my writing. And the timeline aligns with my role. Monica. Did anyone say anything to you about it? Me. Coworkers made comments. Derek stood in the doorway and told staff to take professionalism seriously. Monica. Do you have proof he posted it? Me. I have a witness who saw him with the push pins, and there may be camera footage. Monica. You were placed on administrative leave. Me. Yes. Monica. How was that communicated? Me. A FedEx envelope at my desk. HR escorted me out with a security guard. Me. I didn't sign anything. Aaron. Marin acknowledged receipt by email only. Monica nodded. Then she asked the question that shifted the entire room. Monica. Marin, are you aware of any other employees who reported similar conduct by Mr. Lowe? I felt the crowd, even through a screen. All the unseen people behind doors. And all the stories that never made it to a bulletin board. Me. Yes. Monica. Who? Me. Jessica P. has an email from him about loyalty and complaints hurting careers. She was his assistant before me. Monica. Anyone else? I hesitated. Not because I didn't know, because naming people could drag them into the light. Aaron. Answer only what you know directly, Marin. Me. There was also an analyst named Tiana who warned me to keep my head down. She said Derek collects favorites and punishes them when they push back. Monica, do you believe HR handled your complaint appropriately? Me, no. Monica, why? Me, because it became public. HR framed my report as disruption and asked me not to escalate. Monica, who told you not to escalate? Me, Candace Howell. Monica, thank you, I'll be speaking with Ms. Howell as well. The interview lasted 52 minutes. Monica asked about touch, messages, meetings, tone. She asked if I'd ever dated Derek. I said no. I kept my sentences short. I kept my voice steady. After the call, Aaron stayed on for a minute. Aaron, you did well. Me, will it matter? Aaron, it matters because it's consistent, and because you have evidence. That evening, Jess called me from her car. I could hear traffic, turn signals, a radio ad for a furniture sale. Jess, she interviewed me. Me, how did it go? Jess, I read his email out loud, word for word. Jess's voice dropped. Jess, Marin, I wasn't the first. Me, what do you mean? Jess, Tiana told Monica about a girl from last year. She filed something. Then she got performance managed out. Performance managed out. Corporate for pushed off a cliff. Jess, Monica's face changed. Like she finally understood it wasn't just you. Pattern recognition. That's what breaks a system open. Later, my phone lit up with a calendar notification I didn't create. Everdale, all hands meeting, mandatory. Organizer, legal department location, auditorium. I wasn't even in the building, but the invite hit my personal email anyway. A mistake, or a message. I forwarded the invite to Aaron. Aaron email. Keep it, it shows corporate response. We're getting movement. I stared at my kitchen table. The cheap folder, the Walmart receipt, the ramen cup, small things that proved I was real. Then Jess texted again. Jess, people are whispering that Derek's badge was deactivated. I read that twice. Not for comfort, for confirmation. Me, did anyone see him? Jess, no. Candace won't make eye contact. Monica's still here. Still here. Outside investigator, locked doors, crowds gathering in an auditorium. The building wasn't just afraid. It was rearranging itself. And somewhere in that rearranging, I could feel the first real consequence taking shape. And somewhere in that rearranging, I could feel the first real consequence taking shape. The next morning, my apartment ran cold like it was offended I existed. The thermostat blinked 62, then 61, then 60. Radiator heat hissed, tired and unreliable. I stood over the vent with my hands out, waiting for warmth like a favor. Administrative leave sounded gentle. It wasn't. It was a temperature drop, a slow freeze designed to make you move on without a fight. At 8:07 a.m., an email hit my personal inbox. From Everdale Benefits Team. Subject, coverage update, action required. My fingers went numb before I even opened it. Not fear, not shock, just my body remembering what it costs to be targeted. The message was written in cheerful bullet points. Your medical coverage will remain active during leave. Your access to certain systems is temporarily suspended. Any questions should be routed through HR. Suspended, temporarily, routed, cold words, words meant to keep me from touching anything warm. I forwarded it to Aaron, then I printed it, because printers don't forget. The paper came out warm from the tray and I held it too long. At 9:32, Candace emailed again. Subject, clarification, workplace conduct expectations. The tone was syrupy, but the intent was ice. At Candace, email. Please remember that discussing internal investigations with coworkers may violate policy. I read it twice and felt heat climb up my neck. They were trying to cut my oxygen. Jess, Tiana, anyone who could confirm I wasn't imagining things. Aaron replied within minutes. Aaron, email. This is intimidation. Do not respond. Screenshot and save. So I did. Then I did something else I hadn't done in years. I went to the county clerk's office, not because I needed to file anything that day, because I needed to feel a different kind of building, one that didn't smell like lavender cover-ups. Downtown was gray and sharp with winter. Wind pushed down the street like it had somewhere urgent to be. I parked behind a line of cars and walked past people stamping their feet for warmth. Inside the clerk's office, yet the air was overheated, dry and dusty, like old paper and radiator metal. My cheeks warmed instantly, and my glasses fogged at the edges. A sign on the wall read, "No food or drink beyond this point." Another sign, "Forms must be completed in black ink." Rules that didn't pretend to be feelings. A woman at the counter slid a clipboard toward me. "Clerk, what are you filing today?" Me, "Nothing, I just need a copy of a public record." Her eyes narrowed, not unkind. Clerk, "Name?" Me, "I'm just looking at civil docket examples." She turned a monitor slightly and pointed. Clerk, "You can search here. Case numbers look like this, 2024-17823. The same format I'd seen online. Seeing it in person made my spine straighten. It meant there was a system outside corporate walls. I thanked her and stepped aside. I didn't search anyone. I just watched the printers, the stamp pads, the file drawers, the solidness of procedure. Then my phone buzzed with a text from Jess. "Jess, they're saying you're refusing to cooperate." My stomach dropped, then steadied, because that line wasn't for me. It was for everyone watching. Me, "Who said that?" Jess, "Derek, to Kara, loud, like he wanted it repeated." Derek was still playing crowd control, even with his badge deactivated, even with legal in the building. Heat rose behind my eyes, not tears, a different kind of heat. The kind that comes right before you act. I texted Aaron. Me, text, "They're spreading, I'm not cooperating, can we respond?" Aaron, text, "We respond with a formal retaliation notice and request for your reinstatement or paid leave terms in writing. Retaliation notice." Those words felt warmer than any radiator. Back home, I set my laptop on the table and wrapped myself in a hoodie. The fabric was soft but thin, like most protection. I opened my timeline and added a new line. February 19th, 2026. Rumor campaign, refusing to cooperate. Source, Derek via Kara. Reported by Jess. Then I opened a fresh email draft to Aaron and attached everything. Benefits email. Candace intimidation email. Jess text screenshot. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I let it ring. It rang again. Then it stopped and a voicemail notification appeared. I tapped it. Derek's voice filled my kitchen. Too loud, too close. Derek. Voicemail. "Marin, call me back. We can fix this if you stop making it weird." Stop making it weird. Like my dignity was the problem. Like his hands on my back were a misunderstanding. Yeah, the voicemail timestamp showed 12:14 p.m. I saved it. Then I exported it. Then I emailed it to Aaron with one sentence. Me, email. Unsolicited contact during investigation, voicemail attached. A minute later, Aaron called. Aaron, he should not be calling you. Me, he wants me on the phone. Aaron, because phones don't leave trails unless you record. We'll make the trail. His voice was calm, but I could hear steel under it. Aaron, I'm filing a formal retaliation complaint today, and I want you to sign a declaration. Me, do I need a notary? Aaron, for the declaration, yes. We'll do it properly. So I drove to a UPS store near my apartment, the kind wedged between a nail salon and a vape shop. The air inside was warm and smelled like cardboard and packing tape. A notary public badge hung on the clerk's lanyard. A notary. You need something notarized? Me. Yes. My hands were still cold from outside. I rubbed them together while the clerk checked my ID. Notary. Raise your right hand. Do you swear this is true? Me. I do. The stamp hit the paper with a heavy thud. It sounded final. It sounded like consequences. On the drive home, my phone rang again. This time it was Monica Reyes. Monica. Marin, do you have a moment? Me. Yes. Monica. I'm following up on your report. We've received additional information. Her voice was even, but there was pressure behind it. Me. About Derek? Monica. About a pattern. I leaned back against my seat. The car heater finally started blowing warm air, and it fogged the windows. Monica. Multiple employees described similar behavior, and there are emails. Me. Emails? Monica. Yes. Including one where Mr. Lowe refers to complaints as career suicide. My throat tightened. Me. So he wrote it. Monica. He did, and HR received earlier complaints. Earlier. The word carried weight like a door swinging open. Me. What happens now? Monica. The company is initiating corrective action pending the outcome. You will receive communication from legal. Corrective action. Corporate for someone's fall. After the call, I sat in my parked car with the heater running. Warm air on my knuckles, cold air outside the glass, a clear border between then and now. At 5:41 p.m., Aaron forwarded me a draft of the retaliation complaint. The subject line looked like a weapon. Formal notice of retaliation and demand for preservation. Calder versus Everdale Retail. Seeing my last name next to versus made my stomach twist. And not from fear, from relief. Aaron wrote one line above the attachment. Aaron, email. Review for accuracy. I'm filing tonight. I read every word. The dates, the break room posting, the escort, the rumors, the voicemail. My life reduced to paragraphs that could survive in court. I replied with 2 words. Me, email. Accurate? Proceed. The next day, the temperature outside dropped into single digits. My car doors stuck. My breath showed in front of my face like a warning label. Jess texted at 10:06 a.m. Jess, Derek got walked out. I stared at the message until my eyes stopped trying to blink away the meaning. Me. Walked out how? Jess. Security. HR Monica. He was pale. He tried to talk. Nobody let him. My hands trembled for the first time in days. Not from fear. From the sudden warmth of validation hitting cold skin. Jess. Candace told people he's on suspension pending review. Suspension pending review. Not a win. Not yet. But it was the first time the building chose me over him. And in the sharp winter air, I finally felt my body thaw. And in the sharp winter air, I finally felt my body thaw. Not all at once. Not like a movie. More like when your fingers warm up after being outside too long. First it hurts, then it tingles. Then you realize you can feel again. Jess's text sat on my screen like proof I could hold. Derek got walked out. I didn't celebrate. I didn't even smile. I just stared at the words until my shoulders dropped a fraction, because the part of me that had been bracing finally heard something change. At 10:31 a.m., I got an email from Everdale Legal, from L. Carver. Corporate Counsel Direct Administrative Leave Status Update. The tone was suddenly respectful, not warm, but careful. Carver email. Ms. Calder, we understand you have retained counsel. We will communicate through your attorney going forward. Ms. Calder, they'd never called me that before. At Everdale, I'd been Marin, or sweetheart, or kiddo, when Derek wanted to feel powerful. Now I was a last name. Carver continued. Carver, email. Your leave will remain paid. Benefits will remain active. We ask that you refrain from contacting coworkers regarding the ongoing inquiry. I forwarded it to Aaron. Then I reread it. Paid. That was the first sign. They weren't doing me a favor. They were buying time. My phone buzzed again. A new email. In from Candace Howell. Subject, checking in. Her message was short enough to be insulting. Candace, email. Hi, Marin. I hope you're doing okay. Please let me know if you need anything. Need anything? Like she hadn't just escorted me out with security. Like she hadn't called me disruptive. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my notes and wrote a quotable line for myself. Not for drama, for grounding. They didn't care if I was okay. They cared if I was quiet. That afternoon, Aaron called me. Aaron, they're going to offer a settlement soon. Me. Already? Aaron. Yes. Once they suspend the manager, they want the fire to stop spreading. I leaned against my kitchen counter. The laminate was chipped at the edge, catching on my sleeve. My apartment was still cold, but I'd learned to layer. At me. What will they offer? Aaron, NDA, severance, neutral reference, maybe reinstatement. I stared at my Walmart receipt still on the table. The ink was fading. Everything fades when you don't preserve it. Me. What should I do? Aaron. We don't rush, we let discovery pressure build. They made too many mistakes. Discovery. That word sounded like something from TV. But now it was real. It meant they couldn't just rewrite the story. Aaron. Also, Derek being suspended doesn't mean you're safe. Retaliation can keep happening through HR. Me. Candace. Aaron. Exactly. 2 hours later, Monica Reyes emailed me. Subject: an update, investigation status. Her tone was still neutral, but the content was heavier. Monica, email. Mr. Lowe has been placed on leave pending review. We appreciate your cooperation. Placed on leave. His same soft corporate language they'd used on me, but I knew the difference. When I was placed on leave, they escorted me out. When Derek was placed on leave, they removed his access. One was containment, the other was consequence. Jess texted again. Jess. Candace called a team huddle. Said we can't talk about the situation. Me. Did anyone say my name? Jess. No, but everyone looked at my desk. Jess was getting heat now. I could feel it through her words. Me. Are you okay? Jess. I'm fine. I'm mad. Mad was good. Mad meant awake. The next day, I had to go to the grocery store. Not because I wanted to, because life keeps charging you rent even when you're being retaliated against. The parking lot was icy, and my boots crunched over salt. Inside, the store smelled like bakery sugar and floor cleaner. I grabbed eggs, cheap pasta, and a rotisserie chicken. I stood in line behind a man arguing about coupons like the world was ending. Normal life. When it was my turn, the cashier smiled. Cashier. You want your receipt? Me. Yes. I folded it carefully into my wallet. Because I was learning something new about paper. Paper matters. Receipts, emails, certified mail, notary stamps. Paper is what people like Derek fear. That evening, Aaron forwarded me another email from L. Carver. Subject: a request for informal resolution discussion. Informal. That word made me laugh out loud in my empty apartment. Not because it was funny, because it was insulting. There was nothing informal about humiliation on a bulletin board, nothing informal about security escorts, nothing informal about retaliation rumors. Hey, Aaron. They want a call tomorrow. Me. With me? Aaron. No. With me. You stay off the phone. He paused. Aaron. Marin, I want you prepared for something. Me. What? Aaron. They will offer you money to sign an NDA. They will make it sound generous. They will also try to make you feel guilty. Guilty. I looked at the rotisserie chicken container on my counter. Grease fogged the plastic lid. My life was simple and real. Me. I'm not guilty. Aaron. I know, but they'll try. The next morning, I woke up to an email from Jess. Jess. Candace just got pulled into legal. My fingers tightened around my phone. Me. Why? Jess. Because Monica asked for HR complaint logs. Complaint logs. The phrase made my chest go cold again. Because complaint logs meant history. It meant they weren't just looking at Derek. They were looking at Candace's choices. Jess. People are saying Monica asked for records from 2023, too. Me. So this goes back. Jess. Yeah. I sat at my kitchen table and stared at my folder. The cheap Office Depot plastic had scuffs now. It looked used. It looked like survival. A few hours later, Aaron called. Aaron. I just got off the phone with legal. Me. What did they say? Aaron. They offered you a settlement. My mouth went dry. Me. How much? Aaron. Not enough. He said it like a decision, not a guess. Aaron. They offered 12 weeks severance, a neutral reference, and an NDA. Me. 12 weeks. Aaron. They're hoping you're scared. They're hoping you need rent. I did need rent, but I also needed my name back. Me. What did you say? Aaron. I said no. And I said we are not discussing numbers until they confirm Derek's employment status and produce relevant evidence. There was a pause. I could hear Aaron's office in the background, paper shuffling, a distant printer. Aaron. They sounded nervous. Me. Good. Aaron. They asked if you'd be willing to resign. Me. They want me gone. Aaron. You can mess. But they want you gone quietly. Quietly. I thought of the bulletin board again, the red pushpin, the way Derek stood there like he was displaying art. They didn't want quiet then. They wanted me humiliated. Now they wanted quiet because they were afraid. I leaned back and stared at my ceiling. A small water stain spread near the corner like a bruise. Me. What do we do now? Aaron's voice lowered. Aaron. We wait. Me. Wait for what? Aaron. For them to make a bigger mistake. Or for Discovery to show us what they're hiding. The silence after he said that felt heavy, not hopeless, anticipatory, like standing at the top of courthouse steps before you walk in. That night, I got a notification from LinkedIn. Derek Lowe updated his profile. I clicked without thinking. His headline had changed. Store Operations Leader, Open to Work. I stared at it until my eyes hurt. He wasn't terminated yet, but he was preparing. He could feel the floor cracking, and for the first time, I realized something that made me sit up straight. Derek wasn't the only one trying to save himself. Candace was too. Candace was too. That realization hit me harder than Derek's smug little threats ever did. Because Derek was obvious. He was loud. He wanted attention. Candace hid behind policy. Then behind process. Behind the soft voice and the lavender plug-in. And if she was scrambling, it meant the investigation was no longer a performance. It was reaching into the places they kept locked. The next morning, Aaron emailed me with one line. Aaron, email. They produced initial documents. My stomach tightened, but my hands stayed steady. I opened the attachment he sent, a PDF bundle, redacted in places, stamped with confidential, attorney eyes only. I'd never seen my life in legal formatting before. It looked unreal, like my pain had been turned into office supplies. The first page was a timeline from Everdale Legal, their version, their cleaned-up narrative. Employee raised concerns. Company responded promptly. Manager placed on leave. Promptly. I almost laughed. Then I scrolled, and I saw it. An internal email chain. Subject, HR complaint, Marin Calder. Not anonymous, not protected. My name was in the subject line like a target. The email was from Candace to Derek. Candace, email. Derek, FYI. Complaint received. Please be mindful of your tone and interactions. FYI. Like she was reminding him about a meeting, like I was a scheduling issue. Then Derek replied. Derek, email. She's overreacting. These girls don't understand corporate pressure. These girls. My jaw clenched so hard it ached. Then came the line that made my whole body go cold. Derek, email. If she wants to play HR games, I'll show her what career suicide looks like. Career suicide. Jess had told me he said it. Now I had it in writing. My fingers hovered over the screen. The letters looked too clean for something so ugly. Aaron called immediately after. Aaron. You saw it. Me. He wrote it. Aaron. Yes. And Candace forwarded your complaint to him. Me. That's not allowed. Aaron. It's not best practice. And in this context, it's dangerous. It supports your retaliation claim. I stared at my kitchen table. My folder was open. My cheap plastic sleeves were filled with printed evidence. Me. So, HR wasn't protecting me? Aaron. No. HR was protecting HR. There was a pause. Aaron. And there's more. My stomach dropped. Me. More like what? Aaron. Complaint logs, prior complaints, and a pattern of how they were handled. He sent another file, a spreadsheet screenshot, employee ID, complaint type, manager involved, outcome. I didn't recognize the names at first. Then I saw one that made my breath catch. Tiana R. An outcome, resigned, owing performance concerns. Another name, Brianna L. Outcome, terminated, attendance. Then another, Emily S. Outcome, transferred, team fit. Team fit. That phrase made me sick. Because now I could see the machine, how it worked. how it chewed women up and spit out neat little HR reasons. Me, they did this before. Aaron, yes, and now, because of the litigation hold, those records are preserved. Preserved. That word was everything. Aaron, they can't pretend it's isolated anymore. Me, so what happens? Aaron, now we have leverage. Leverage? I sat back in my chair, the wood pressed into my spine. I let myself feel the weight of it. Not revenge, not anger, power. That afternoon, Monica Reyes emailed me again. Monica, email. Marin, I want to clarify something. Did you ever consent to your complaint being shared with Mr. Lowe? Consent. A word HR never used. A word Derek never respected. I replied carefully, me, email. No, I was told my report would be confidential. Monica responded quickly. Monica, email. Thank you, that is helpful. Helpful. Her tone was changing, less corporate, more human. Jess texted me at 3:19 p.m. Jess, Candace is crying in the bathroom. I stared at the message. Me, how do you know? Jess, Kara heard her. She was saying, I did what legal told me. Legal told me. My throat tightened. Me, so legal instructed HR to share my complaint? Jess, sounds like it. The web was bigger than Derek, bigger than Candace, bigger than my little cubicle. It was Everdale, a system that treated women like disposable risks. At 5 p.m., Aaron called again. Yeah, Aaron. Legal wants another settlement meeting. Me. After this? Aaron. Yes, they saw what we saw. They know we saw it. Me. What are they offering now? Aaron. They didn't say numbers yet, but they asked if you'd consider a mutual non-disparagement clause. Mutual. That word mattered, because before, they wanted me gagged. Now they wanted themselves gagged too. Aaron. Marin, I need you to understand something. Me. What? Aaron. They are not afraid of your feelings. They are afraid of a paper trail. I stared at Derek's email again. Career suicide. He tried to scare me with that phrase. He'd used it like a weapon. Now it was his. A line he typed. A line he couldn't delete. That night, I went to Target because I needed toothpaste. And because I needed to feel like a normal person in a normal aisle. And the store smelled like popcorn from the snack bar and cheap perfume from the beauty section. I grabbed toothpaste, shampoo, and a pack of pens. Pens. Because I'd learned to love tools. At checkout, the cashier asked if I wanted to donate $1 to the children's hospital. I said yes, not because I was generous, because I needed to remind myself I was still me. On the drive home, my phone buzzed with a LinkedIn notification. Derek Lowe viewed your profile. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. He was watching. Even now, even after being walked out, even after being suspended, he wanted to see if I was scared. I pulled into my apartment lot and sat in the dark car for a full minute. My breath fogged the windshield. The heater clicked softly. Then I opened my notes app and typed a line that felt like truth. Oh, he thought he could ruin my reputation, but he signed his own confession. The next morning, Aaron sent me another document, a single page. Subject, Settlement Demand Draft, Calder versus Everdale Retail. At the bottom was a number, a real number, not 12 weeks, 6 figures. My mouth went dry. My hands went warm. Aaron's message above it was simple. Aaron, email. Now they're listening. I stared at the number until it stopped looking like fantasy. Then I whispered to my empty kitchen. Me. Good. Because if Everdale wanted quiet, they were going to pay for it. And Derek wasn't going to be the only name on the fallout list. And Derek wasn't going to be the only name on the fallout list. The next week moved like slow machinery. Not dramatic, just heavy. Emails came in with careful wording. And phone calls happened between attorneys while I sat in my apartment with my laptop open, listening to the radiator hiss. I learned something strange about corporate panic. It doesn't scream, it schedules. Availability for discussion. Revised draft attached. Please advise. All the fear disguised as professionalism. Aaron called me on Wednesday morning. Aaron, they countered. Me. Lower? Aaron. Higher. But they want tighter terms. Tighter terms meant tighter control, a different kind of leash. I sat at my kitchen table with a mug of instant coffee. It smelled bitter and cheap. The steam warmed my face. Me. What are they asking for? Aaron. A broad NDA. Non-disparagement, no admission of wrongdoing, voluntary resignation. Voluntary resignation. I laughed once, quietly. Not because it was funny. Because it was predictable. Me. They want me to quit so it looks clean. Aaron. Exactly. I looked at the folder on my table. The cheap plastic sleeves were full now. Evidence has weight, even when it's just paper. Me. Do we accept? Aaron. Not yet. He paused. Aaron. Marin, I want you to hear this clearly. You're not negotiating from desperation. You're negotiating from control. Control. That word used to belong to Derek. Now it was mine. Aaron emailed me their draft agreement. I opened it and read it line by line. Employee agrees not to disclose. Employee agrees not to discuss. Employee agrees not to assist. Not to assist. That line made my stomach tighten. They didn't just want silence. They wanted isolation. They wanted to make sure no one else could use my case as a key. And me, they're trying to block me from helping other women. Aaron. Yes, and we will not agree to that. I exhaled slowly. Me. Good. That afternoon, Jess texted me. Jess, Derek's office is being cleaned out. I stared at the message. Me. Cleaned out how? Jess. Facilities, boxes, shred bins. Candace was there. Shred bins. My chest tightened. Me. Isn't there a legal hold? Jess. Yes, but they're acting like it doesn't apply to his desk. I forwarded the text to Aaron immediately. Aaron responded with one word. Interesting. Then another message. Aaron, if they destroy evidence after the hold, it's sanctions territory. Sanctions. A word that sounded like punishment with teeth. The next morning, Aaron called again. And Aaron, they moved fast. Me, what happened? Aaron, Derek is terminated. I sat down hard on my couch. The springs creaked under me. Me, terminated, like done? Aaron, done. Effective immediately. My throat tightened. Not from joy, from the sheer weight of it, because it meant the building finally admitted he was a liability. Aaron, they want you to sign today. Me, because they cut him loose. Aaron, because they want the bleeding to stop. I walked to my kitchen window and looked outside. Snow piles along the curb, a neighbor scraping ice off their windshield, a UPS truck backing up with a beeping alarm. Normal life. And somewhere downtown, a man who thought he owned me was packing his ego into a cardboard box. Aaron emailed the final offer. 6 figures, paid in a lump sum, taxed but real. And health coverage extended 6 months, a neutral reference letter, a mutual non-disparagement clause. Mutual. That word again. But the NDA was still there. And the resignation language. Aaron, we can negotiate the resignation phrasing, and we can narrow the NDA. Me, can we remove the no assisting others line? Aaron, yes, that's non-negotiable for me. I stared at the agreement. My name at the top, my address, Everdale's legal address. It looked like a contract, it was, but it also looked like an ending. And endings are complicated when you didn't choose the beginning. I called my mom that night, not for advice, for grounding. She answered on the second ring. Mom. Hey, baby. Me. Hi. Mom. You sound tired. I sat on the edge of my bed. The comforter smelled like detergent and my shampoo. And me. They're offering a settlement. Mom. Oh. Me. A big one. Mom. Do you want it? I stared at my wall where Christmas lights were still taped up from December. I never took them down. They'd been my little rebellion against winter. Me. I want my life back. Mom. Then take what gives you your life back. Her voice softened. Mom. But don't take it if it makes you smaller. Smaller. That word hit deep. Because Derek had tried to make me smaller every day. I hung up and opened my bank app. Rent due in 11 days, student loans, car insurance. I wasn't greedy. I was tired of being vulnerable. The next morning, I met Aaron at his office. Downtown again, same brick building, same waiting room smell of paper and old coffee. Aaron had the final documents laid out like a ceremony. 2 copies, signature lines highlighted. He slid one page toward me. Aaron, this is the mutual non-disparagement clause. Me, so they can't trash me? Aaron, correct. If they do, we enforce it. He slid another page. Aaron, this is the health coverage extension. Me, 6 months. Aaron, yes. Then the NDA. Aaron, it's narrowed. You can speak to immediate family, therapist, attorney, tax advisor. Me, what about future employers? Aaron, you can say you resolved an employment dispute. You cannot give details. I nodded. Then the line I cared about most. No assisting others. It was gone. I exhaled. Me. Good. Aaron, you protected yourself and the next person. I picked up the pen. The ink was black. The paper was thick. The office was quiet. I signed. Not trembling, not rushing. One slow signature. Marin Calder. Aaron signed next. Then he notarized a final affidavit with a traveling notary he'd scheduled. The notary's stamp hit the paper with a hard thud. Final. Outside, the courthouse flag moved in the wind like it was breathing. The cold air hit my cheeks and made my eyes water. Aaron walked me to the door. Aaron, you did the hardest part. Me, what's the hardest part? Aaron, not letting them rewrite what happened in your head. I nodded, because that was the last battlefield. As I walked to my car, my phone buzzed. LinkedIn notification. Candace Howell updated her profile. I clicked. Her headline now read, HR, business partner, seeking new opportunities. My fingers tightened around my phone. So she was leaving too. Not because she felt guilty, because she could see the fallout coming. And for the first time, as I realized the settlement wasn't the end, it was the seal, the final stamp on a consequence they couldn't undo. It was the seal, the final stamp on a consequence they couldn't undo. The money hit my account 12 business days later, a direct deposit with a sterile label, Everdale settlement payment. No apology, no note, just numbers. I stared at the balance like it might disappear if I blinked. Then I did the most American thing possible. I paid bills, rent, student loans, car insurance, and the credit card I'd been juggling like a secret. Each payment felt like exhaling after holding my breath for years. I didn't go celebrate. I didn't post anything. I didn't tell anyone at Everdale. I just went to the grocery store and bought real food, fresh fruit, chicken breast, a bag of coffee that wasn't the cheapest one. Small upgrades, the kind you only notice when you've been living in survival mode. The settlement also came with a letter, a neutral reference printed on Everdale letterhead. It smelled like toner and corporate distance. Ms. Calder was employed from... Her duties included. She's eligible for rehire. Eligible, not praised, not valued, but not poisoned. That was enough. 2 weeks after the payment, I got a new job offer. Remote role. Operations analyst, a company based in North Carolina that sold home goods online. The recruiter's voice had been cheerful, almost suspiciously so. Recruiter, we love your background. Your metrics experience is exactly what we need. No weird jokes, no loyalty tests, no smirks, just work. I signed the offer letter at my kitchen table, the same table where I'd listened to Derek's voicemail. The same table where I'd built my timeline like a life raft. The new company required a background check, a standard one, social security number, employment verification, a quick call to the county courthouse for any civil records. I passed everything. Clean. Because the truth was, I'd never been the problem. On my first day, I logged in from my couch with my laptop balanced on a pillow. My apartment smelled like fresh coffee and laundry detergent. The radiator hissed, but the room was warm. My new manager was a woman named Aisha, mid-30s, sharp voice, kind eyes. Aisha, Marin, welcome. We don't do chaos here. We do clarity. Me, that sounds amazing. Aisha, if something feels off, you tell me immediately. Immediately. Not in-house, not don't escalate, immediately. After the meeting, I sat still for a minute, just listening. No fluorescent buzzing, no Teams pings from Derek, no smell of lemon cleaner trying to erase a crime scene. Just quiet. The first time I had to go into an office again was a month later. The new company rented a small co-working space for quarterly meetups. It was in a renovated brick building with big windows and plants. The air smelled like espresso and clean wood. I wore a simple blazer and jeans. I didn't dress to protect myself anymore. I dressed to exist. When I walked in, there was a bulletin board by the coffee bar. Corkboard, colorful pins, flyers. I froze without meaning to. My body remembered. The break room, the red pushpin, my complaint like a public execution. For a second, I felt that old numbness try to crawl back up my spine, like my nervous system didn't trust happiness. Then I stepped closer. Yet the bulletin board had one big sheet in the center, printed in bold letters. Anonymous reporting hotline information. Speak up, we will protect you. There were QR codes, a phone number, a link to an external compliance service. My hands went warm, not from fear, from something like vindication. Aisha walked up beside me with a paper cup of coffee. Aisha, you okay? Me, yeah, just thinking. Aisha, that board is there for a reason. People deserve safety. I nodded. Me, yeah, they do. Later that afternoon, I stepped outside to take a call. The air was crisp, but not cruel. Spring trying to arrive. My phone buzzed with a notification from my bank. Payment received, State of Ohio, tax refund. A normal thing, a boring thing. And I realized I loved boring. Boring meant no one was hunting me. When I went back inside, people were laughing near the snack table. Someone had brought Costco cookies. The sugar smell was warm and simple. Nobody looked at me like I was a rumor. Nobody watched me like I was property. That night, I drove home past the courthouse again. Same stone steps, same flag, but this time, I didn't stare at it like a lifeline. I just drove past, because I didn't need it anymore. A few days later, Jess texted me. Jess, Candace is gone. She resigned. They hired a new HR director. I stared at the message. Me, what about Derek? Jess, he's blacklisted. People are whispering he tried to apply at another chain and got rejected. I sat back against my couch. The fabric was still pilled, but now it felt familiar, like home. Me, are you okay? Jess, I think I am now. Monica told us we can report directly to a third-party hotline. Third-party hotline, it was too late for me. But not for the next girl. I typed back slowly. Me, I'm proud of you. Jess, I'm proud of you too. After I sent it, I stared at my phone for a long time. Then I opened my notes app and scrolled to the first entry. The break room, the red pushpin, the hum of vending machines. I read it like it belonged to someone else. And in a way, it did. Because the woman who stood under that bulletin board, numb and exposed, didn't know she was about to become someone dangerous. Not dangerous in a loud way, dangerous in the way paperwork becomes a weapon when you know how to use it. I thought about Derek's words, career suicide. He'd meant mine. Instead, he wrote his own, and Candace helped him. And they thought humiliation would silence me. Instead, it documented their downfall. If you liked this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments.